I am Uhtred, son of Uhtred.
Well, actually, it would be more like Uhtred, son of Waltheof. But that doesn't really have the same ring to it, does it? And thanks to the Last Kingdom, Uhtred is now a household name all across the world. And Uhtred of Bebbanburg is one of the most recognizable central characters of any historical TV series ever created. Perplexingly though, many viewers are not aware that Uhtred of Bebbanburg is actually based on a real historical figure named Uhtred of Bamburgh, better known to history as Uhtred the Bold. Aside from them both being important ealdormen and competent warriors, they also lived extraordinarily fascinating lives, and fittingly, Uhtred the Bold would also have a brutal and horrifying death. Therefore, in this video, we'll be focusing exclusively on how Uhtred the Bold died, and this is one of those surprisingly rare instances from history where there actually isn't much controversy or debate over what caused the death of the real Uhtred, as all medieval contemporary sources seem to share unanimity on the cause of death for this legendary ealdorman of Northumbria. However, before we dive into the last moments of Uhtred the Bold's life, I do think it is important to at least have some foundational knowledge on this historical figure's life, as the majority of individuals will be unfamiliar with the history of Uhtred of Bamburgh. So a little bit of prior knowledge will greatly assist in making the events leading up to Uhtred's death significantly more comprehensible. The exact year of Uhtred the Bold's birth is not clear, but I'm going to make the assumption that he was born around the year 975 AD, as his first marriage occurred in 995, and 20 years of age seems like a plausible number for a nobleman to be getting married. It is also important to highlight that during most of Uhtred's life, Aethelred the Unready was the King of England, and he received the moniker of the Unready as he was completely unprepared for the Viking invasion that would swiftly conquer much of England, and this subsequently would force Aethelred into exile in Normandy. Uhtred would then swear loyalty to King Sweyn Forkbeard of Denmark as the new ruler of England in 1013, but King Forkbeard would pass away just a few weeks later, and Uhtred would betray his allegiance to the Vikings, and he would become a strong proponent of Aethelred's claim to the throne. Unfortunately though, a few years later in 1016, Uhtred would regret supporting Aethelred, as the son of King Forkbeard, Canute, was out for revenge and he conquered much of Northumbria with his formidable Viking army. Uhtred had no choice but to surrender and acknowledge King Canute as the new monarch of England. However, Canute was not satisfied with this submission, and he summoned Uhtred to visit him for a peace negotiations meeting in Wighill. Uhtred was unable to refuse his liege lord and gathered a small contingency of bodyguards and proceeded towards the designated meeting place. Unbeknownst to Uhtred and his men, this peaceful meeting was just a ruse by Canute, who had his retainer Thorbrand the Hold ambush Uhtred and his 40 soldiers, resulting in all of them being cut down in this horrific betrayal. This death by ambush discourse is supported by many medieval sources which discuss the death of Uhtred the Bold, with the Chronicon et Chronicis, Historia Regum, Libellus de Exordio, de Obsessione Donelmi, and the Anglo-Saxon Chronicles all linking the death of Uhtred to treachery perpetrated by King Canute and Thorbrand the Hold. However, it is important to emphasize that none of these sources are first-hand accounts of the events, but they are all written within 100 to 200 years of Uhtred's death, making their reliability highly compelling. Further strengthening the authenticity of these historical documents is the uniformity of events across all sources, as they all share nearly identical depictions of Uhtred's murder. The following excerpt from the De Obsessione Donelmi provides the following account of the betrayal that led to the assassination of Uhtred and his men. After King Aethelred's death, when Canute had laid hands upon the whole kingdom of England, he sent to the Earl ordering him to come to him as his new lord. He did so, having accepted safe conduct for his journey and return. On the appointed day, he entered the king's presence at Wighill to discuss terms of peace. Through the treachery of a powerful king's thane, Thorbrand, known as Hold, the king's soldiers who had hidden behind a curtain spread across the width of the hall, suddenly sprang out in mail and slaughtered the Earl and 40 of his chief men who had entered with him. As you can see, based on this historical document, it seems like that the common discourse during the medieval era was that Canute and Thorbrand had collectively worked together to indeed murder and assassinate Uhtred and 40 of his men using the false pretenses of a peaceful meeting. And another thing that I think is important to highlight is the fact that the year of Uhtred's death is also contentious, as 1016 is just the best guess that contemporary historians were able to deduce based on the information they had available. The assumption is that since Uhtred and many other earls of Northumbria submitted to King Canute in 1016, it is logical to conclude that Canute would have assassinated Uhtred and any other problematic vassals soon after he was ascended to the throne. Of course, these are all just hypotheses by medieval historians, and it is very possible that Uhtred the Bold may have perished at any other point during the nearly 20-year reign of Canute. But there is little to no evidence which supports or contradicts the 1016 year of death theory for Uhtred the Bold. Another point of contention in regards to the death of Uhtred is the actual location of where his murder may have occurred, as contemporary sources state that Wehel is where Uhtred was summoned, but there is no direct translation of Wehel to any city in modern day England. So the two most plausible locations proposed are Wighill, which was referred to as Wishel in medieval England, or Worrell, a city near Sheffield, which was referred to as Wehel in the past. In my personal opinion, the spellings of Wehel share much greater similarities with the spelling of Wyhill rather than Wishel, and that Worrell may be the most likely final resting place of Uhtred. Unfortunately though, until the day we discover Uhtred the Bold's body, the task of being able to definitively identify the location of Uhtred's assassination is going to be nearly impossible. So that is all the information that we have on the death of Uhtred the Bold, the inspiration behind Uhtred Ragnarsson from the Last Kingdom. We have been able to conclude that Uhtred was most certainly killed in an ambush set up by Canute and Thorbrand, but the exact date and location of his death will perhaps forever be shrouded in mystery and legend. So let me know in the comments down below if you found this video to be interesting and what other historical figures' deaths you would like to know more about. And remember, if you want to learn about the death of some of history's greatest figures, then subscribe to my channel Historical Exit, and thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye.